The world of professional boxing has always been one that prizes legacy, skill, and the dedication of its athletes. But over the last few years, a new force has emerged in the ring, one that has sparked heated debates, divided opinions, and captivated millions of fans across the globe. That force is Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, whose journey from social media stardom to the boxing ring has been anything but conventional. While his entrance into the sport was met with skepticism and disdain from many in the boxing community, there's no denying the attention he's drawn, the audiences he's captured, and the undeniable curiosity surrounding his every move. In recent months, the conversation has shifted from whether Jake Paul could actually box to whether he deserves to be ranked by the WBO, the World Boxing Organization. As the debate rages on, the question of whether the YouTube star can break into the ranks of legitimate fighters has taken center stage. This is no longer just about viral knockouts and internet fame. This is about the possibility of Jake Paul becoming a true contender in the world of boxing. But what would it take for Paul to earn a world ranking in the eyes of one of the sport's most respected sanctioning bodies? Well, according to WBO President Gustavo Olivieri, there is a clear path for Jake Paul if he can meet the stringent criteria laid out by the organization. For months, the topic of Jake Paul's potential ranking has been the subject of heated discussions within the boxing world. Every major sanctioning body has had something to say about Paul's entrance into the rankings, and each has weighed the question of whether his fame and victories are enough to justify a spot among the top fighters. Among the most vocal of the sanctioning bodies has been the WBC, whose president Mauricio Suleiman endorsed Paul's inclusion in their top 40 list back in November. This endorsement, however, didn't come without controversy. While Suleiman himself seemed to believe that Paul had earned a place among the best, some members of the WBC's committee disagreed, making it clear that they didn't see Paul's achievements as enough to warrant a ranking just yet. The divide within the WBC was evident, but the conversation didn't end there. On the other hand, WBA President Gilberto Mendoza took things one step further. He suggested the idea of sanctioning a fight between Jake Paul and former WBC middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. not for a regular bout, but for one of the organization's many trinkets, a minor title of sorts. This proposal raised eyebrows, as it suggested that the WBA might be willing to push the envelope in ways that other bodies, like the WBC, weren't. The boxing world was abuzz with speculation. Could Jake Paul, who had no experience fighting top-tier boxers, really be on the verge of fighting for a championship title? Despite all the noise from the WBC and WBA, the stance of the WBO remained largely unclear. That is, until Olivieri spoke out and clarified his organization's position. Sitting down with Talksport.com, the WBO president took the time to explain the criteria Jake Paul must meet in order to be ranked, offering an insight into the organization's approach to ranking fighters. Olivieri made it clear that the WBO isn't in the business of granting rankings based on fame or spectacle alone. Their focus is on one thing and one thing only: adherence to the rules. As Olivieri explained, if Jake Paul qualifies under the WBO's criteria, there would be no reason not to rank him. But what exactly does that mean? To start, Olivieri emphasized that the ranking process is far from arbitrary. It's based on concrete rules that must be followed to ensure the integrity of the sport. The WBO, as one of boxing's major sanctioning bodies, has built its reputation on upholding these standards, and they have no intention of lowering them for anyone, least of all Jake Paul. If Paul wants to be included in the WBO rankings, he must meet the same criteria as any other boxer. Olivieri made it clear that there are no shortcuts to earning a ranking in the organization's eyes. However, he also acknowledged that Paul has been putting in the work. He's not just a YouTube star cashing in on a celebrity boxing career, he's actively training, improving his skills, and pursuing a legitimate career in the sport. Olivieri went on to reveal that he had spoken with Amanda Serrano, one of the best female fighters in the world, who has trained with Paul and witnessed his dedication firsthand. According to Serrano, Paul is taking his boxing career seriously, and he's making strides in the gym. Olivieri also spoke about Paul's intelligence and the strength of his team, including his manager Nakisa Bidarian and the rest of the most valuable promotions MVP team. T.J. Dillashaw, one of the most well-respected and accomplished fighters in UFC history, has always been known for his candidness and bold opinions. But in a recent appearance on the Jackson podcast, Dillashaw made a statement that has stunned the MMA world. Ilia Topuria, the undefeated UFC featherweight champion, is, in his view, the best fighter in the UFC right now, and more skilled than Jon Jones. Yes, you read that correctly. Dillashaw believes that, when it comes to pure skill, Topuria outshines Jones, a claim that has generated significant buzz across the MMA community, particularly given Jones' legendary status as one of the sport's greatest ever athletes. Topuria's rise in the UFC has been nothing short of meteoric, and Dillashaw's endorsement is a reflection of the immense potential the 25-year-old Georgian fighter possesses. Unbeaten with a professional record of 16-0 MMA and 8-0 UFC, Topuria has already become a dominant force in the featherweight division. His recent title victories over two of the greatest featherweights of all time, Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 298 and Max Holloway at UFC 308, have elevated him to the top of the pound-for-pound rankings, securing his place among the best in the sport. With back-to-back knockouts of Volkanovski and Holloway, two fighters who have long been considered elite, Topuria has shown that he is not just a fighter who can win but a fighter who can finish at the highest level. Dillashaw's declaration that Topuria is the best fighter in the UFC is a significant statement, especially when considering the context. Jon Jones, despite not having fought in several months, is still widely regarded as one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. Jones' resume speaks for itself, with a career record of 28-1-1, including victories over the likes of Daniel Cormier, Alexander Gustafsson, and Stipe Miocic. His dominance in the UFC has been unrivaled. Jones has spent the majority of his career sitting atop the UFC's pound-for-pound rankings, an honor he has held for years, and his ability to beat top-tier competitors in almost every facet of the game, whether in striking, wrestling, or grappling, has led to widespread reverence in the MMA community. So, when Dillashaw, a former two-time bantamweight champion, says that Topuria's skills surpass those of Jones, it naturally causes a stir. However, Dillashaw's opinion isn't based on Jones' resume or legacy. Instead, Dillashaw is focusing on something more fundamental, the raw skill set that Topuria brings into the cage. As Dillashaw himself said, not off of resume, no, but off his skills, yes. This sentiment points to an evolving perspective in the sport of MMA, where skill, innovation, and adaptability are becoming more highly valued than just accolades and career statistics. It's a mindset that places an emphasis on a fighter's potential to keep growing and evolving, and for Dillashaw, Topuria epitomizes that potential. The idea of ranking fighters based solely on their skills rather than their accomplishments could be a game-changer in MMA analysis. Dillashaw's statement invites us to consider the different ways fighters' abilities manifest inside the octagon. While Jon Jones has certainly proven himself over time, Topuria, at his young age, possesses a technical prowess that Dillashaw believes is unparalleled. There is an argument to be made that Topuria's fast hands, crisp combinations, and ability to dominate both in the clinch and on the ground are more well-rounded than Jones' striking and wrestling. However, it's crucial to note that Jones' grappling and fight IQ have always been regarded as some of the best in the UFC, and his adaptability against top-tier opponents makes him a constant threat in any matchup. Dillashaw's comments also underscore the growing recognition of Topuria's potential, especially as he continues to dominate the featherweight division. Currently ranked number 4 in the UFC's official pound-for-pound rankings, Topuria's position in the pecking order seems to reflect a shift in how the UFC is viewing him. Some have argued that his meteoric rise and dominant performances against two of the most skilled and experienced fighters in Volkanovski and Holloway make him a serious candidate for a future number 1 ranking in sport. Dillashaw, in his bold prediction, seems to agree, And it's not just about Topuria's accomplishments thus far, it's about what he could do in the future, especially if he continues to develop at such a rapid pace. But while Dillashaw may see Topuria's skills as superior to those of Jon Jones, it is important to recognize the sheer magnitude of Jones' career accomplishments. Jones' dominance over the course of more than a decade has included long reigns at light heavyweight and victories over some of the toughest fighters the sport has seen. His ability to control the octagon, neutralize his opponent's strengths, and mix up his techniques is a testament to his greatness.